What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zoe with No Days Off DFS here, bringing that NBA slate breakdown for the 4-game NBA slate we got tonight, depending on what site you're playing on. Over on DraftKings, we got all 4 games that are going to be going on for tonight, all early, starting at 6 and then at 8:30. And then over on FanDuel, I believe they are only covering the 7 p.m., 7:30, and 8:30 games. So on DraftKings, make sure you guys pay attention to that if you're playing over there on DraftKings. If you guys are new here, as always, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content I'm putting out over here on the channel. And drop a like on the video if it helps you guys win some money. Now, yesterday was not a bad slate at all. Min cash, my feelings for myself, didn't do too hot. I caught LaMelo Ball, of course. Foul trouble game. Didn't do all that he could have done. And then, of course, the reverse of Gordon Hayward. Said I wasn't going to mess with him, especially so-called hamstring injury. Didn't want to mess with that. But, of course, Hayward goes off for damn near almost 60 points. 60 fantasy points, of course. And then just the slate as a whole, it was a decent slate overall. The core that I gave out, I would want to say it hit 170 itself. The core on site was Jalen Green, Dorian Finney-Smith, Bismack Biyombo, Base Diaw, and Demonis Sabonis, which was a very solid core for yourself. The 3 spots I left open were point guard, small forward, and guard. So if you filled it in with one more of those value guards, you could have paid up for anything that you wanted, which we had some pretty decent value guards. I put that out on the cheat sheet. Hopefully tonight I can have that cheat sheet out sooner. For those of you guys that watch and pay attention and are subscribed to the Dub Club, check the link down below. If you guys are looking for a player pool, core, props, and all that stuff. Yesterday, I didn't put out any props because I did not honestly like the board. I did not. Really didn't find anything that I liked, and I only played my my protected flex and one first half slip. Did not like really too much on the board, and of course, luckily, flex protected, got my money back. Didn't do too hot with my flex, so I didn't want to waste you guys' money in regards to that. But as far as the cores go, I try to get it out as soon as possible. But of course, whenever you're waiting on news and stuff like that, stuff pops up, changes, and it makes me have to go back and make sure everything is looking right. So I apologize for those that are looking for the cores much sooner. I will try to have that out 15 minutes before lock. 15 is going to be my goal, but typically it will be up at least 10 minutes before lock. I will get out as much as I can to you guys. So hopefully, if you guys are following me for my cores and stuff, we've been doing pretty good with the core. Of course, that takedown is coming soon. I always like to do a recap and go back and look at what I could have done, what I should have done in regards to the slate prior and things like that. And one of the things that I looked at when I was looking over the slate, of course, some players I was on, but I let my bias somewhat get into the way of it and paying attention. If I wasn't so against playing someone like Gordon Hayward, which he graded out really well as a play for yesterday, but I was like, nope, I'm not playing. I do not see myself going there, especially talks of a sore hamstring or whatever it was that he had going on. So I moved off of him. But of course, in the matchup, in the right game, I should have went ahead and played him. Another player that I was teetering on, whether or not if I wanted to go there, if I wanted to play him, was the value guards in regards to Keontae George. But then when it came out that who was it? I think Minnesota, or was it Minnesota or Memphis? Memphis. I want to say it was Memphis. Memphis came out and they said that they were going to start a 3,500 guard. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I was like, that might be a decent value play right there. They're moving smart to the shooting guard position. 3,500. Really don't know too much about the kid, but I didn't go there. Granted, again, it's just some of those things you live, you learn. It's really good to go back and pay attention to what you could have done on the slate before to see those mistakes or see where you can grade yourself and become better. So hopefully that's what I've done every single slate. I pay attention and understand that at least I feel comfortable with my process. Hopefully, as I'm putting this stuff out for you guys are getting the exact same thing whenever you're looking at stuff, or go back, look over the notes and things like that. And hopefully one of these days we are going to get that takedown. And what better way than to get it on a 4-game slate? That's why we do this stuff every single day. As always, starting with the injury report over here, we have Milwaukee Bucks taking on Orlando. Biggest news we got to pay attention to is Damian Lillard going to play or not. Now, he missed the last game with a calf strain. Granted, right now he still shows as questionable. Haven't seen anything. I am recording this morning-ish, towards the afternoon. We should be getting that afternoon injury report coming out pretty soon, especially since this is first game on the slate and it is a early game. So we should definitely know whether or not if he's going to be in or out. Over here for Orlando, Wendell Carter, Gary Harris, both of them are out. Nothing new. Fultz, he's back. Boom. Nothing to worry about right there. Toronto, they are possible without Precious Achiuwa still. If he's back, that just kind of messes with the minutes for Potel. Outside of that, nothing really to worry about. And then Koloko still out. For Boston, Al Horford, yesterday, we already knew that he was going to be out for rest. They were not going to play him on the back-to-back, so he will be back today. And Quita, I really don't even worry about him or anything. Big news, probably where we're going to get a lot of value from is going to be this Miami and Atlanta Hawks game. Why? Because Miami we're playing Miami value roulette again on today's slate. So for them right now, we have news that Jimmy Butler, he's out. Tyler Hero, he's going to be out for some time. Caleb Martin is out. Nikola Jovic is a game time decision. So this starting lineup, there's going to be some usage to go around, and there's going to be some players that we might not want to click that we're actually going to have to look at and pay attention to because they're going to be in a decent spot. The usage is going to be there, and it might not be wrong for us to get at least maybe 2 or so value pieces or 2 players period from this Miami team on especially a short slate. So definitely pay attention to that. If we should get the Miami starting lineup, but there's going to be some guys that are going to be in a really great value spot over here for Miami. For the Atlanta Hawks, they're still without Wesley Matthews, Buffkin and Guy. They are out, but regular starters and everything for them. Coming on to the late night hammer, quote unquote late night hammer, 8:30 game for Cleveland. Still without Ty Jerome, Merritt, Okoro, and Rick Rubio are out. For Golden State, no news for them. Draymond Green is back and expected to play on today. All right, going over here to DraftKings, like I said, the site that I play the most on. If you guys do not have a DraftKings account, you want one, check the link down in the description below so you guys can get that deposit match bonus and join me over here on the King. Starting out with the first game that we got on the slate, we have Milwaukee taking on Orlando. Of course, we need to pay attention to know if Dame is going to be in or out. If Dame is out, again, we should see campaign slide into the starting lineup. He is 4,700. I don't mind that as value. He slowly got his way there last game, giving us at least 21.5 fantasy points. Played 30 minutes, didn't shoot the greatest, but at least he's getting us some assists, some rebounding, and doing what little he can do out there on the defensive side. I don't mind going to him if Dame is out. Big if, but if Dame is in, I'm not going to worry about that. The main thing you have to decide on today's slate is, am I going to play Giannis? Do I have enough value on today's slate to pay Giannis? Is Giannis going to go out here and give me this, 60-ish fantasy point score that I'm going to want on today's slate, considering he is literally the highest priced player on today's slate? Wait. There we go. He is the highest priced player on today's slate outside of Jason Tatum, Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, and I'll cut it off right here at Trae Young. Not too worried about Dame because either way, I would fade Dame on today's slate, period. The 9,300 price tag, don't like that. Not really getting there. Shots not, granted, of course, when you say shots not falling, he's going to go out there and have a ceiling Damian Lillard game. But these are going to be our main studs that we're going to be focusing on today's slate. And then the mid-tier studs, what we have some decent value right there in these guys. But main thing that you got to ask yourself, am I going to play Giannis today? Of course, Giannis cash games, if you're playing cash still into this day and age for NBA, of course, you're going to want to get Giannis. He gives you a safe floor. You know he's going to go out there. He's going to have the usage. It's just a matter of, is he going to be able to go out there and deliver at that price tag? Now, if Dame misses, it's kind of a no-brainer. I'm going to try my best to get Giannis into my lines. But if Dame is in, this full starting unit and everything for the Bucks, it becomes hazy in regards to, do I really need to get someone from here? Again, Dame is out. Beasley vaulted into consideration. That's a decent value play that we can look to right there. And honestly, grades out as the best player that has the best matchup, considering that shooting guards have done pretty decent going up against Orlando. DeJounte Murray was the last dud, really. Didn't have the greatest shooting game out there going up against them. But before that, Kyrie, Austin Reeves, Taylor Horton Tucker, even Bones Highland, when he got that crazy start out there for the Clippers, all did pretty good, giving us at least 25 plus fantasy points. And a mid-tier usage player such as Malik Beasley, definitely worth a look and is going to be considered some value on today's slate where we got to look for and find our value. So definitely would not mind Beasley if Dame is out. Over here, going over to the other side to Orlando, really seem to have found their stride, playing pretty well defensively. And we know that, again, there's some value to be had over here because they are missing 2 players. Now, Markelle Fultz in that first game back for them played 29 minutes. So it looks like he's not hampered anything. They're not too worried about that. Shot wasn't really falling. 5 of 12 out there. Still gave us some peripherals, not too much. 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Not a bad spot for any of the guards. Fultz and Suggs. Both Fultz, Suggs, I'll say Fultz, Suggs, and Cole Anthony all will be in good spots because once again, we have continuously attacked this Bucks teams with shooters. Now, if Suggs is going to actually go out here and pull and fire, definitely a great spot. Do not mind him. The main guy that I know is going to actually go out here and shoot is going to be Franz. Franz, he is pretty decent out there from 3-point line. We know he's going to go out there. He's going to look for his shots. He's going to take those shots. And I definitely do not mind going to Franz. Not too scared of Chris Middleton defense, considering that he is a player that is somewhat on a minutes limit still. So definitely the shooters over here from them, the guards, including Franz, are all plays that I definitely would not mind going to. Once again, I think Paolo, he's going to be matched up trying to guard Giannis. Definitely can see him getting himself into foul trouble. If you want to take a flyer on going to Apollo at 7-8, don't mind that. But I will take the value in coming out here to Franz sitting at that 7-1. Outside of that, Suggs, he's been on a tear, looked very great. Defense is definitely clicking. I do not expect 6 steals again in the game, but what he's giving me scoring wise I know he could put it together a little bit on the peripheral side if he has to, if he needs to. Definitely worth it. 5.5. Do not mind going there. I will play the ownership game between him and Fultz. Maybe we can see Fultz have a much better game in this position and spot. But again, I definitely do not mind going up and paying for Suggs. And we still do have some value in Goga. He's sitting at 5.1. This spot, you're going to go against that Brook Lopez defense. I know Brook Lopez, typically known as a pretty good defensive player himself, but he's still starting. He's still going to at least see close to, 20 to 25 minutes out there between him and Mortz, depending on what they actually decide to do. I don't mind going to Goga if you feel like you need to get there, but there is some decent value for us to get to on the slate where we're not going to necessarily have to go there or need to get there in regards to that. Outside of that, it's really just going to be mainly the guards over here for Orlando, and then Franz will be the guy I'll put into the mix over here for them if I'm considering anything from that side. Going over to Toronto, taking on the Boston Celtics. Not even one. Our lowest total on the slate, sitting at a 223 total. So really, this should be a defensive game. We know Boston. They've been playing pretty good defense, especially with their full starting unit that they have out there. One position that they have actually been giving up some pretty decent fantasy points to has been the center position. I understand Dorian Finney-Smith, not the biggest usage monster or player out there, but still close to 20 fantasy points out there. I will take that from him. We have seen big performances from big centers such as Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert. Both those guys put up some pretty decent numbers in this spot. And then Bam Adebayo actually put up a pretty decent game going up against them as well. So definitely some players that we could put into consideration that have a decent usage and are decent on the glass and also in regards to scoring. Now, Jakob, we do know that he is a decent fantasy point per minute producer when he gets to run the minutes and doesn't have himself in foul trouble. That'll be the question that's going to come down to of whether or not if he can keep himself out of foul trouble playing here, going up against Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford at the center position. I might take a lean on not messing with that just simply because don't really know which poll I'm going to get, but definitely will be someone I'll have in consideration. Of course, we're going to have to look at Scotty Barnes. The usage and everything that this kid has going on for him is just ridiculous. Practically can average a triple-double if he wants to. The assists, the rebounding, all that is there for him. And it seems like he really kind of gets it going towards the second half of the game anyway. So don't worry if you're playing him and he starts off slow and sluggish. Just know he will more than likely get you there. He will get there. He's going to take the shots. He's a high usage player out there for them. Has looked very well. Sitting at the 8-9. Yes, it's going to be somewhat a tough matchup where you're going out there. You're matched up with where you're matched up out there going up against players such as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, both those players right there. But definitely a spot worth a look, worth a mention. And then Dennis Cordier, the usage that he has out here for them, sitting at 6'4". Don't mind it. We do know that he did play prior for Boston as well. Opposing point guards, depending on their usage and everything, they have done decent, not the greatest. I know they held Spencer Dinwiddie last night in check, but Tyrese Maxey dropped 50 fantasy points on them. First game Spencer Dinwiddie played against them, he dropped 36 fantasy points going up against them. And then Kyle Lowry, dusted Kyle Lowry, dropped 33, and Jalen Brunson dropped 34 fantasy points. So I definitely see there's a way for Dennis to get there if he can continue with the playmaking. We know he's going to go out there and score. A pretty decent spot where I wouldn't mind going to him if I feel like I need to. Going over to the other side on Boston, of course, we all know it's Tatum, it's Brown, KP, main three that we're going to look at. Brown last night, not a bad game, 42 fantasy points going out there. KP didn't play that many minutes, only played 25, but there might be some merit for us going to KP in a bounce back spot, going up against Jakob, someone that he should be able to impose his will and actually have a decent game. We've seen Zach Collins go out there, drop 45 fantasy points. Joel Embiid dropped 56 fantasy points. DeAndre Ayton dropped 48 fantasy points going up against him. Rudy Gobert, 45. So if KP keeps himself out of foul trouble, definitely play more than 25 minutes, snag those rebounds, which is crazy that his rebound numbers are kind of low. Well, not even kind of low. They're low, period, in regards to what I would actually expect for him out here. But definitely, if he can actually rebound, go ahead and let that shot stroke. I want to say this is probably the first time that he's had a single-digit scoring night. Only took 4 shots. But definitely wouldn't mind going to Kristaps Porzingis here. I'm pretty sure he just got ran off the floor last night. Small ball, or maybe they were just saving him for the back-to-back. I don't mind going to KP here at that 7.9 price tag if I'm looking at anybody between Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Now, I would expect the studs in regards to Brown and Tatum to be somewhat lower owned. Definitely wouldn't mind taking a stab on them, but no, they're not a must. Not a must at all. I really do like KP here in this position and spot, and definitely would not mind taking him. Russian roulette in regards to Drew Holiday and Derek White. You can flip a coin in regards to them, but not must, but definitely do not mind them. All right, coming over to Miami taking on Atlanta. This is where, of course, we're going to have to shuffle through and figure out how these lineups are going to roll. It's the Miami Heat, man. Anything can go. It'll be very interesting to see how this line and how everything shakes out for them. So with Jimmy Butler being out, and then of course we know that Tyler Hero is going to be out. There's usage to go around. Of course, everyone's going to assume it's going to go straight to Bam Adebayo. Not a bad matchup going up against center, going up against what's his name, Clint Capella, and Precious Achiuwa on the other side. Bam should be able to have his way. We've seen opposing centers. Chet, he had a pretty decent game going against Atlanta, 40 plus fantasy points. Rudy Gobert, 39 fantasy points, almost 40. Mitchell Robinson, a low usage center, dropped 40, and Mark Williams dropped 40. Now, granted, there's some duds in between there in regards to some of the centers. Goga, but he only played 20 minutes, so technically he put up a fantasy point per minute, dropping 20 fantasy points. J-Val only played 20 minutes, gave us 17 fantasy points there. And then Mike Muscala in that spot start that he got, gave us 17 fantasy points. So going with that, centers kind of are averaging right around roughly, I'd say, a fantasy point per minute in the minutes and time that they're playing. Bam, rightfully so, should be highly owned on today's slate, and I definitely do not mind him, especially if he's going to actually take the shots and will actually have the usage and everything that we want in a mid-tier, high-priced stud player on the slate. Outside of that, I do see some ownership floating towards Kyle Lowry. That last game, 35 minutes, dropped 47.75 fantasy points. It's going to take a lot for me to trust Kyle Lowry. It is. Now, I don't mind paying for Kyle. 5.7, that's a pretty decent price, mid-tier option, great, all in its own right. But there are some other plays we could possibly look to. And if he gets to start, 4,200, really great price tag. I don't mind looking at Highsmith. Played 27 minutes in that last game, 27 fantasy points. Has been playing at least close to 20 minutes in the time that he's actually been on the court and played. Definitely a spot where we could possibly see him go out there and have a decent game. Power forwards have had decent games going up against Atlanta. Paolo only dropped 33 fantasy points, but not bad. Zion, Kuzma, Karl-Anthony Towns, Giannis, and Julius Randle all dropped north of 35 fantasy points. I know that Highsmith is not necessarily a high usage player, but with players like Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero missing, definitely a spot where I would not actually mind playing him. Now, what's oddly weird is the fact that they have Duncan Robinson sitting here at 4,500 for the power forward position. We know he is a guard. He should definitely be out there playing more than likely the shooting guard or small forward position. Definitely not power forward. I do not understand that at all whatsoever. Maybe this is a way for them to get the slate different since it is a small slate. But Duncan, if he can actually knock down the shots, he has played quite a few bit minutes in last couple of games, 31 fantasy points and 22 fantasy points in 30 and 26 minutes. Going up against Memphis, only 35 minutes gave us 14.25. If you believe in Duncan, definitely worth a spot, 4,500, but it's going to be a toss-up between him and Highsmith, whichever one you can actually take at that power forward position. Like I said, I do expect it to be definitely at least two Miami Heat players into your lineups for today because they are shorthanded. I definitely would expect it to be a tight rotation for these guys, especially since now we do also have a high usage player in Jimmy Butler being out. So definitely probably anchor yourself with either one of Bam, Kyle Lowry, deciding which one you want to go right there, and then look at some of the value that we could possibly get. I'm going to have to put him into consideration as much as I don't like him, but Josh Richardson, Duncan Robinson, Highsmith, and maybe even Jaquez Jr. will all be players I would consider as my second Miami Heat player. Now, you can go with Kyle Lowry and Bam as your two main Heats and then just try to get some value somewhere else, but with some of these value guys for Miami that will be thrust into bigger minutes and roles, definitely worth a look at for us to go to. Over here on the other side for Miami, not Miami, sorry. Over here on the other side for Atlanta, looking at them, all these players, we already know where the production mainly come from. It does come from Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. Trae in that last game finally popped off, had that huge ceiling game that we have been waiting for him to have for the season. I told you guys, it was only a matter of time before he actually got the points to fall. We know that he's going to get the assists, rebounds, and things like that. But 41 points, dropped 65 fantasy points against Orlando. I'm not saying he's not going to come in here and do it again, but definitely a spot and position where he can if he wants to. Now, I am definitely in the pool of going right back to my boy DeJounte Murray, who went out there and had a dud of a game in 33 minutes, only gave us 26.25 fantasy points. Just couldn't get it going scoring-wise. Still gave us a little bit in regards to some of his peripherals, but not what we were seeing for the season, and definitely know that his averages is higher than that. So I don't mind going to DeJounte Murray here in a bounce-back spot and position where we could possibly see him actually pop off for a 35 to 40 fantasy point type game. Outside of him, the usual suspects, Jalen Johnson, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu, all players that we can go to. Definitely Okongwu, we know he's going to play 20 plus minutes and he's going to give you a fantasy point per minute, worth a shot always, especially as long as he's going to be on a 5K. And then Bogdan off the bench has been playing pretty decent off the bench, giving us some really good numbers. So I do not mind going there. and a bounce back spot for Sadiq Bey, who went out there and gave us a dud in 29 minutes, 7.25 fantasy points after at least giving 20 plus fantasy points in 5 straight games. So don't mind going right back over there. All right, our late night hammer last game, Cleveland taking on the Golden State Warriors. Again, if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content we're rolling out over here, and drop a like on the video if it's helping you guys. So Cleveland, looking at them, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, this is kind of the main trio that's going to give us a lot of the production. Really do feel like this is going to be a spot where I might mess with a Evan Mobley. 7,500. Looked pretty decent over his last couple games, definitely giving us at least 30 plus fantasy points, except for that first game on the season. And we have seen opposing power forwards going up against the Warriors have done pretty decent. Aaron Gordon dropped 41 fantasy points. Isaiah Stewart, 40 fantasy points. Evan Mobley, the first time they played, dropped 37 fantasy points. Jalen Williams for the Thunder gave us 32. So as you can see, definitely a spot where they can take advantage of it, scoring wise, and all of the other sorts that we can actually get from them here in this position and spot. So definitely do not mind going to Evan Mobley. Outside of Mobley, Darius Garland, a little bit too cheap for me, sitting here at 6'9". We know that he can play make, and that game going up against the Warriors, played 30 minutes, gave us over a fantasy point per minute, gave us 35.25 fantasy points. The assists are always going to be there for him. The scoring, as long as he can actually knock it down, didn't shoot too well from 3, but got to the free throw line 13 times and went 6 of 17. If he can be more efficient, definitely knock down his threes. I really do like the price tag overall, period, for him, just because he's so involved in what the offense is doing. And with the fact that they're actually playing faster, I really, really do actually like the spot for Garland. Definitely one of your mid-tier stud, quote-unquote, options that you can actually go to on today's slate that I really do like. Definitely GPP option would be Donovan Mitchell, which should come in at lower ownership, especially with the price tag that Garland has. But Evan Mobley would be the main guy that I go to. And then, of course, I will have to consider Garland as the other side of that coin. Go over here for the Golden State Warriors. We kind of know where it starts and ends. It starts with the chef. And if you can fit the chef, of course, great spot. Do not mind going to Chef Curry. Playing against Cleveland, kind of one of his more lower games. 31 minutes, only gave us 39 fantasy points. We know that the chef can pop off for 50 plus fantasy points if he wants to and if he needs to. They lost that game 104 to 115, so definitely a bounce back spot for the Warriors, playing at home off of a pretty good road trip. Played 4 games on the road over the last couple games, and we know when Curry is at home, he definitely can cook when need be. So definitely do not mind Steph Curry in a bounce back position in the spot. Opposing point guards going up against Cleveland have actually had pretty big games, good games. Shea dropped 65, Tyrese Halliburton dropped 43, Brunson 30 plus fantasy points in both games going up against them. So definitely position spot. I do not mind going to Steph Curry, especially in the bounce back spot. Now, I did say that Draymond Green, he is expected back. I don't mind looking at Dre. He's been pretty safe in regards to a floor in the games that he has actually played, especially once released from that minute limit, at least giving us over 25 plus fantasy points in all these games that he's played since playing at least over, 22 minutes. So another one that you can possibly consider, but not too many plays that are must. Definitely can mess with Darius Saric off the bench for 900. We know he's going to come in there, play some backup power forward in the center minutes. Another one that you can consider, especially with the size that Cleveland plays with. But all right, guys, that's going to be it. Quick breakdown. Hopefully you guys got something from it. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys drop that like on the video and subscribe if you guys haven't done so already. Of course, everything will be uploaded close to the lock. Peace.